today's session, we will talk about ethical issues. That's the last topic in the chapter Biotechnology and its Applications. So, in NCERT, it comes under 12.4. What is that? Ethical issues. So, let us have discussion on ethical issues. First, we should know what is ethics, right? So, ethics means it includes a set of rules. Ethics includes a set of rules. So, rules of what? Rules of conduct by which a community will try to regulate its behavior, and the community will decide which activity is lawful and which activity is not. Understood, children? What is ethics? Tell me, what is ethics? So, ethics means it includes a set of rules of conduct. Let me write down, you will understand it better. So, ethics includes, what does it include? A set of rules. Ethics includes a set of rules of conduct. How should we behave? By which a community, the community will regulate its behavior. Community will regulate its behavior. The community, by setting rules, the community will regulate its behavior and decides which activity is lawful and which is not lawful. Behavior and decides. The community will decide which activity is lawful and which is not lawful. So, means this is permitted by the law, you can do it. This is not permitted by the law, you should not do it. It's beyond the ethics, we tell. Amma, this is a definition for ethics. But then, since we are talking about biology, we should know what is bioethics, right? We should know what is bioethics. Now then, what is bioethics? When you know ethics, you just add biological world, that will become bioethics. So, bioethics includes set of rules of conduct that may be used to regulate our activities towards the biological world. Means, how much are you exploiting the microorganisms or plants or animals for our benefit, for our good thing, right? So, that comes under bioethics. To which extent you can exploit the microorganisms, to which extent you can manipulate the plant genes, to which extent you can manipulate the animal genes, comes under bioethics. That's our topic today. So, our topic is bioethics. So, bioethics includes, so let me write down what is bioethics. Bioethics includes, when ethics include a set of rules, bioethics also includes a set of rules of conduct, right? By which, a set of rules of conduct by which, like it can regulate our activities, by which it can regulate, regulate our activities. It can regulate our activities towards what? Towards the biological world. Towards the biological world. Biological world means living organisms. See, the earth is not meant for us. It is meant for plants, animals, including microorganisms, insects, everything. So, you should not dominate, and you don't have any right to kill all other plants and animals. The right how much you have to live on the world, the same right they also have. It comes under bioethics. Understood, children? What is bioethics? But since nowadays biotechnology has come, the definition of biotechnology only goes like it works towards the welfare of mankind. It works towards the goods and services to make the man's life lead a better life, right? So, then people are concerned about biotechnology. Nowadays, biotechnology, particularly rDNA technology, is used for exploiting the biological world. So, let me write down. Nowadays, biotechnology. In biotechnology, what is that field? rDNA technology, particularly rDNA technology, recombinant DNA technology. It's exploiting the biological world to any extent, particularly rDNA technology. What it is doing, ma? It is exploiting the biological world. It is just seeing that, okay, this is useful for the man, so then don't disturb it. This is useless, then destroy it. So like that, rDNA technology, biotechnology, they're exploiting the biological world like anything. So when they're exploiting, then comes the bioethics. So the major bioethic concerns are, so when we have to list down, what are the major bioethical concerns? What are the major bioethical concerns? If we have to list one by one, we can tell that if you manipulate a plant or an animal or a microorganism, what do you call them as? Genetically modified organisms. So changing the genes of a plant or an animal or a microorganism, they are called as GMOs, genetically modified organisms. So the genetically modified organisms which are produced by biotechnology, which are produced by rDNA technology, so they have unpredictable results when they are introduced into the nature, when they are introduced into the ecosystem. Genetically modified organisms can have unpredictable results when introduced into the ecosystem. Now I'll share my experience here. I told, after completing my MSc, when I started working in Shanta Biotic, the first biotechnological company in India, which is located in Hyderabad in Medchil, when I start working there as a R&D person, now then, because it was the first biotechnological company and it was the first company to manufacture the rDNA vaccine, hepatitis B Shanvac, then that company got an offer from another company. So they asked the Shanta Biotic to manipulate the mosquito genes. They asked this company to manipulate the mosquito genes so that mosquito will no longer remain as a host for the plasmodium. So plasmodium, which causes malarial fever, so it resides in man, it resides in mosquito. So you can't change the man, right? So will not cause any harm to us. We can't change the man. So now that company wants to change the genome of the mosquito so that the plasmodium cannot survive here. If the plasmodium cannot survive here, then it cannot multiply. It cannot multiply, so then it cannot infect the man in turn. So with this proposal, they approached the company. Then the company straightforward said no, because actually you are polluting the genes, right? You are manipulating the mosquito in such a way that it remains hostile. It is not acting as a host for plasmodium. But the new genetic combination what you have made might become the host for some other pathogen which is waiting. Okay, or if this genetically modified mosquito goes and breeds with a wild mosquito, meiotic divisions, recombination, sexual reproduction, some new combination will come. That new combination might pose to another serious or dreadful disease. So then they told, like, no, we can't do it. So we cannot predict the results, what will happen next. Okay, so that example we can take here. That's what the meaning of this sentence. Genetically modified organisms, they have unpredictable results. NCERT also says the same statement. Genetically modified organisms have unpredictable results when you introduce them into the ecosystem. That is one concern. The other concern is there is a fear of, what fear we have? There is a fear of transferring allergens, right? Transferring allergens from genetically modified foods to sensitive persons. Now, some people are hypersensitive. They are sensitized to dust, they are sensitized to climate changes, right? They are sensitive to cold and all those things. So for these sensitized people, so their allergic responses can trigger very fast. Whichever is allergic, like usually the foreign genes and all, genetically modified plants and all, they're not natural ones, they are allergic. So then they cause allergies in sensitive people. There is a fear of transferring the allergens to sensitized people. Not everyone will get it. Now, like there's a brinjal variety which is this much big. So it will be half the size of a cucumber. So we don't know, like they have used which two vegetables to get that hybrid variety. So now it might not suit every person. It might cause allergics in some sensitized persons. So this is another drawback. If it is a developed country, they will label it. So these are genetically modified foods and these are normal foods. So then we can choose it. Okay, I should not go to this because I am allergic. I can go with the natural varieties. But in a developing country like India, that label will not be there. Since that label is not there, so we are not knowing whether it's a normal variety or a genetically modified variety, right? And if we have to talk about the third one, we'll talk about molecular forming. We'll talk about molecular forming. Due to molecular forming, there is a risk of changing the fundamental nature of the vegetable. Due to molecular forming, there is a risk of changing the fundamental nature of vegetables and fruits. Now again here I can give one example. So due to molecular forming, there is a risk of changing the fundamental nature of vegetables and fruits. We know that India has many varieties of mango, many juicy varieties, many varieties of mango we have. Now we send mangoes from our country to other countries. Now how do you send it? By air you send it. Then how do you send it? Means by air, in boxes we send it. Now what is the shape of a box usually? The box will be rectangular. What is the shape of the mango? The mango is of this shape. Now they want to convert the mango into square or rectangle. Why? Because for airlines, they are paying the cost for this box in which this much space is wasted, this much space is wasted, this much space is wasted, it seems. So they want to change the shape of the mango. So then they might also change the color of the mango also. They might also change the taste of the mango also if you allow them. So this is molecular forming. So after few years or after few generations, your future generations don't know exactly how does a mango looks if you change it. What is the exact color of the mango if you change it? Understood? So we are talking about bioethics. Take a screenshot, then we will continue. Right? So we are talking about bioethics. We have seen what is ethics, the definition of ethics. What is bioethics? The definition of bioethics. And where are the fingers? Towards biotechnology, towards RDNA technology. So they tell that it is exploiting the biological world. And what are the concerns? 3 points we told. Genetically modified organisms has unpredictable result, 1 point we told. And there is a fear of transferring allergens in sensitized people, another one we told. And the third one, molecular forming will change the shape of the vegetables we told. Took the screenshot. Shall we continue with a few more points? Yeah. In NCERT exercises, they have asked us to give the definition of bioethics. And we have already seen with blue, I wrote the definition of bioethics, right? Now, let us discuss about the fourth point then. There is a threat, there is a risk of gene pollution or gene contamination. Because of this biotechnology, there is a risk of excuse me, gene pollution, or we can tell gene contamination. So when you are combining two different varieties, then the wild variety is lost or recombinant variety is made. That means the genes got polluted. So because of this contamination, it might lead to development of superweeds. So this gene pollution or genetic recombination might lead to the development of, superweed. Now, anything which is natural, nature has remedy to it, how to eliminate it. Anything which is artificial, nature has lifted its hands, it cannot do anything. So now we have to again keep our heads and involved to how to control it. Understood? So now if we change the genes, if we pollute the genes, it might result in superweed, and we don't have any formula to kill the superweed. So again, this is a threat because of bioethics only. So next point, when we tell that rosy cow, in which we have introduced the human genes, so that the cow is producing human alpha lactalbumin. So cow's milk should have cow protein, but the cow's milk is producing human protein, mother's proteins. How far it is ethical, think and tell me. So means there is a threat for humanness itself, right? There is a threat for humanness. That also we can tell. Transfer of human genes. Transfer of human genes into animals is threat. It is threat to humanness only. It is threat to humanness only. We don't know like what new combinations will come, what human combinations will come, and what it leads in the future generations. We can't predict also, they're telling. Then at last we can tell that their use of animals in biotechnology. I told you in the previous classes, clinical trials, vaccine safety, chemical testing safety and all, we test on animals, no? So people tell that using animals for biotechnological clinical trials, so vaccine testing and chemical testing, it is cruel, right? So animals are also having life, and they also suffer with the pain what we are giving to them. That also we can tell. Use of animals. Use of animals for biotechnology research. Use of animals for biotechnology research and testing. It is cruel and causes pain to animals, right? It's cruel and it causes pain to animals, as we are killing animals, no? As we are killing animals. You need to take the blood of the animals. You need to take the blood of the animals in order to check the antibody levels. So that means you are killing the animals. So finally, these people tell that biotechnology has no respect for living organisms. Finally, they tell that biotechnology has no respect for living organisms. They tell that biotechnology has no respect for living organisms, and we always see whether it is useful for man or it is not useful for man. It is not good. So then, taking all these points into consideration, the Indian government has set up a committee. So therefore, we can tell the Indian government has set up a committee. It has set up a committee. You know what is that committee called? Genetic Engineering Approval Committee. The committee is called Genetic Engineering Approval Committee. It is Genetic Engineering Approval Committee. The government has set up a committee which is called Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, so which has the power to validate the genetic research going on. So if I have a company, if my R&D people has given a formula like we will produce this manner and this is the advantage we are getting, straight ahead I don't have license to start it. Now I should submit my project to this organization, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, and they will see the pros and cons, they will validate it, and only if they give permission, I can start it. If they reject it, then at any cost I can't start it. Understood what powers this committee is having? It can validate the genetic research. So this committee has powers to validate genetic modifications. It can validate genetic modifications. It has the power to accept or reject. It can accept or reject the project. It has a power to accept or reject the project. So what did we discuss in this point, in this board? Earlier we have seen 3 points. What is the first ethical concern of the society? That genetically modified organisms, when they are introduced into the wild organisms, their results cannot be predicted even by the scientists. The second point they'll tell, there's a fear of transferring allergens to the sensitive people, they'll tell. And due to molecular farming, people want to change the natural shape, taste, size, color of the vegetables is a third concern. The fourth concern is there is a risk of gene pollution which might lead in the production of super weeds which we cannot control. Then transfer of human genes into animal is a threat for humanness only. That's another concern. Use of animals in biotechnology research and testing. It's cruelty. It causes pain for the animals. You are killing the animals. We don't have any right to do that. Biotechnology has respect. Biotechnology has no respect for the living organisms. That's their ultimate line. So then the Indian government, taking all these points into consideration, they have set up a committee called GEAC, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, who has the powers to validate the genetic research, and it has a power to accept or reject. So at a commercial level also it can check, it can do the industrial trials also, and it can go for clinical trials, and it will approve the project or it has a power to reject the project. So this is our session with bioethics. In the next session, we'll talk about biopatents. Okay, children, hope the content is informative. If you like the content, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.